Hey nerds, we are going to review the series finale of And Just Like That, Season 3, Episode 12, starting now. Welcome back to the Nerd Social. I am Colin, so chapter times are below if you want to skip ahead. Episode 12's title is Party of One. It is written by Michael Patrick King and Susan Fales-Hill. And the final episode of this series is directed by Michael Patrick King, who wrote and directed a lot of the other episodes in the original Sex and the City. Episode 12's logline is as Carrie decides to work on accepting her new phase, Miranda hosts Thanksgiving for the first time in her new apartment. So, spoiler-free thoughts, lots of spoiler-free thoughts on this final episode of And Just Like That. I said last week that they were limping towards the finish line, but in this episode, there were moments where I thought the show had a strong finishing kick, and at least they finished with some dignity, albeit Miranda's awful bathroom incident, which we'll get to. Part of the episode felt like there would have been some continued storylines into a fourth season, but the last few minutes feel added on as a coda to the series. My wife said that they should have ended it actually in episode 9, which was the best episode of the season. But I feel that they wanted to do the final 3 episodes as an epilogue, just like how it happened in Carrie's novel. Speaking of Carrie's novel, that should have been her monologue and laptop typing from the very beginning of the series. I think that would ground the series in a familiar sense, just as I mentioned in the last 2 reviews. They should have done that instead of just having this inconsistent, oh, we should have brunch, oh, we should have monologue here, we should have the laptop here. It just didn't make any sense. At least in the original series, there was a consistency to it. Carrie was able to explain what her friends did during that time. And this is part of what's missing. And I think that's really frustrates a lot of fans, not only just the writing, but the familiarity to the original. And I think that even if it didn't work in the first episode because she had her happy ending with Big, after Big's death in season 1, they could have just restarted that consistent tone of monologuing or writing so that even when she was in her relationship with Aiden, then it would have been appropriate to have that in the show. So in terms of rating for this final episode of And Just Like That, I would give it an 8 out of 10, which is a road trip. I think that is better than last week when I felt like it was going to end on a sour note. I think they ended it pretty well, just like what Sarah Jessica Parker and Michael Patrick King said in their post on social media. So those are my spoiler-free thoughts on this episode. If you like what I have to say about And Just Like That and other content we put out there, please like, share, and subscribe for more. We really appreciate your support, and we are growing very rapidly as a channel. We also have a website, thenerdsocial.org, where we give reviews and analysis on a lot of topics as well from many of our contributors. So before I dive into spoiler talk, I would like to have a side note about all the controversies that's been surrounding the show. There's some disappointment as well. I think that we have to keep in mind that sequels are almost always not as good as the original. There are very few in pop and nerd culture that equal or surpass the original. Movies like The Dark Knight, Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back, Godfather 2. As for television and streaming, I just binged actually the continuation of King of the Hill on Hulu. That was actually pretty good. I think that in general, Sex and the City's message on women, dating, and relationships still resonates even after 25 plus years. And so Just Like That wasn't going to satisfy everybody who were fans of the original. It's just very hard to recapture that magic. Like in episode 10, I think that fans really wanted to feel, my wife also wanted to feel that Carrie can go home again. But it just wasn't the same feeling, just like what it was in episode 10. Look at another HBO show, House of the Dragon. Is it better than Game of Thrones? I don't think so. But there's definitely some good acting and some good moments. Maybe there just needs to be some time to digest and cool off before Carrie Bradshaw returns. But if this is truly the end, then it really was a great run for all those involved in the Sex and the City universe. So without further ado, spoilers ahead for And Just Like That, season 3, episode 12. So we start off with Carrie visiting a hot pot restaurant. I actually looked up this restaurant from one of the articles online, said it was High Dalo. It's in Flushing, Queens. And so it was very interesting that she had a Queens sweatshirt on in the last episode. So she goes to this hot pot place where she's like a fish out of water. She doesn't know what to do because she's so used to the paper menus, but there's robots there. There's also the iPad for her to order the food, and she doesn't know what to order actually. And then the hostess actually gave a stuffed companion for Carrie to sit there with. So it plays on the whole party of one, and also for her trying to figure out what to do, because she's, in this season alone, she's lost Aiden. She has also lost Duncan after a quick fling, and he just disappears out of the picture abruptly. I thought that he would become more like an Alexander Petrovsky, but no, it didn't happen, and they decided not to go with that at all. As for Charlotte, all of a sudden got better from her vertigo, and Harry's still struggling with his love life. And so in this scene, lo and behold, Thanksgiving comes, and Harry is feeling really great now. And so they're able to have some alone time together. When Carrie comes in with the pies, the daughter had a very awkward situation where I mentioned that, oh, you're there in the bedroom. And I think that my wife really expressed it very well, is that Lily should have just had a reaction of ill, gross, but she didn't. She smiled, which is kind of weird, but maybe because she was happy that her father was able to have part of his life back. Who knows? As for Miranda, Miranda is really struggling with knowing that she's going to be a grandma. And so Steve also shows his vulnerability as to how he's going to adjust to that. And he even expressed that he overreacted to Brady. There wasn't really a very good conclusion to this. I think that they just really focused on Miranda and her love life with Joy. They really just left this by the wayside. I don't know what's going to happen. They really didn't do anything much besides inviting the baby mama and her friends, which leads to a very interesting incident that happens. This is why I said that they could have had another season, or maybe like a couple of episodes left to finish this off, but it didn't. There's no resolution to this, unfortunately. But again, focusing on more of Miranda's love life rather than focusing on her family at this point. And a side note for this, if Cynthia Nixon does come back, she's probably going to be very busy with The Gilded Age. I watched The Gilded Age on and off recently. I think she was fabulous in it. So whatever type of sequel that Sarah Jessica Parker's trying to pitch out there to all the streaming companies, Cynthia Nixon may not be there as much. As for Joy, she had a little bit of an emergency and had one of her dogs go to the hospital because the dog swallowed a Lego piece in the park. And that leads to some very tender moments between Miranda and Joy, trying to solidify that relationship between the two. And hopefully in some other writing that they end up happily ever after, and then Miranda can explore being a lesbian grandma, basically. Again, they didn't really resolve this in a way where it was tied up neatly in a bow. As for Lisa, there was definitely some resolution with Herbert. It reaffirms that the love between Herbert and Lisa was strong. This is probably the best part of the whole episode, I would say, except for the ending. I think that it really encapsulates how strong their relationship is. There was a scene where Herbert said, "You've been on your feet all day. Maybe I should clean up." This is near the end of the episode. Great line. Shows that you can be masculine, but also be at the same time very nurturing to your wife. And also, I would say that Herbert really got out of his doldrums a little bit and just properly communicated to Lisa that, hey, I'll be all right. They're just going to take some time for me to get out of it. This was good for Lisa to reaffirm her marriage. Is it worth it? And then Charlotte said to her that, yes, it is worth it. And Lisa agreed. I was concerned that they would leave Lisa in a very bad place, but it ended up being very good. Although I would say that having Marion there in this episode was like a throw-in to reaffirm her strong bond with Herbert. And I would have said that It would have been very bad if she did do something with Marion. It just doesn't work. I would have hated it. And I think that it would do a disservice to the characters and also to Marion as well, who seems like a very good guy overall. There was also a bombshell that said Michelle Obama might narrate Lisa's documentary. They couldn't get Michelle Obama because she signed on to Netflix, so I don't think that would have been possible anyway. This picture right here encapsulates what should have been the show. I think that if they wanted to bring back the brunches, which they did at the end of episode 9, bring back the 4 of them together, this could have been the new core 4. They hinted that was the case, but they didn't really explicitly do it, which really is one of the things that was a missed opportunity for the writers and for the producers. If it revolved around them and their issues of dealing with motherhood, dealing with being single, dealing with their own issues as well, I think it would have had much more of an impact and some familiarity to Sex and the City. Maybe they felt that it was too much on the nose, but sometimes on the nose is okay. As for Seema is really questioning whether or not she wants a marriage, because for a long time she didn't believe in marriage, she didn't believe in guys, but she really loves this guy, Adam. And so Adam revealed to her that he doesn't really believe in marriage. And so there was a good exchange between Carrie and Adam in the garden about how Adam is very unconventional. Adam also reaffirmed to Carrie that he really loves Seema, but he doesn't believe in marriage. And so for someone that's also unconventional, who is Seema, who's really had struggles with dating, and then having this kind of moment where they feel as though they are together. Now, there was a nice scene with Seema with her in jeans, which was really cool as well. Just having a very different side of her. And I think that they could have explored that a lot more and maybe have started this a little earlier, because I think she is a very interesting character and she's trying to find herself as well. Of course, she's not the main character here. Carrie is the main character, but it would be nice to have her finding herself. But it does seem as though her and Adam are going to be in a long-term relationship, which is really good. There's a nice pie montage at the end where they're very casual, but I think that they underwritten her character. They were trying so hard to not make her like Samantha, and they could have done, like I said in previous reviews, they could have done that a lot better. There's a South Asian independent working woman, but then at the end, just like Samantha, falls for a guy who's really decent overall. As for this little storyline, this could have extended to a season 4, but I don't know why they still kept it in there with Mark, because he's been divorced 3 times. But it reaffirms to Carrie that, hey, maybe it's better for me to be by myself. So I think maybe he's in there just to let her know that, hey, I think it's time to cool off. I think it's not time to get back on the saddle just yet. And then toward the end of the show, we see that she's alone in her apartment. She's dancing to Barry White's My Everything. It's really well done. And then there's a montage of all the different characters eating pie that were delivered by Carrie during Thanksgiving. I think it really wraps it up very well to have that go on. And then finally, we have her writing her epilogue to her novel and basically just saying that the woman realized she was not alone, she was on her own, which I think was really good. That's a very good ending. And I did predict that she was going to end on this type of note, because maybe Charlotte was right back in the Sex and the City days that you only get 2 shots at this. And so maybe the 3rd time he's out there, maybe, but at the same time, it could be a good thing for her to be on her own with the city that she loves without any strings attached or restrictions to her life, because she has lived some of her life pretty independent overall. So those are my thoughts on And Just Like That, season 3, episode 12. Tell us what you think about this episode and the finality of this whole show by commenting down below. Like, share, and subscribe for more content like this. And we will see you next video. All right. Take care, everybody.